Infiniti. And we're coming to you live from the Infiniti Performance Pavilion here at the top of Peter Hay Hill at Pebble Beach. Fantastic space, a great view out over Stillwater Bay, and some interesting machinery too here, including Infiniti Red Bull Racing Formula One car, and of course the Infiniti Eau Rouge, the concept car that we've dubbed the beast within the Q50. I'd like to thank Infiniti for sponsoring Monterey Car Week on the MotorTrend channel, and we hope you've been enjoying some of the classic car themed programming. Programs like Ignition, Head to Head, Epic Drives, all with a classic car theme to celebrate what is arguably one of the greatest car guy weeks in the world. We hope you've been enjoying the programming, and joining me here today, MotorTrend Senior Editor Johnny Lieberman, MotorTrend Editor-in-Chief Ed Lowe, and Automobile Magazine Editor-in-Chief Mike Floyd. So we're excited to bring you another live episode of Wide Open Throttle, and we have a couple of special guests joining us later in the program. But first, guys, let's get a couple of impressions. It's now Saturday afternoon. There's been quite a bit going on. So what have been the highlights so far?
Well, this morning was, we went to the Historics and Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca, and I mean, I walk in and there's Delahaye's and Delages and you know, Bugattis and Talbot Lagos just whizzing around. I just stood there for 15 minutes and watched, you know, I don't know, $100 million worth of nearly priceless cars, you know, whizzing around the track. Then came the, you know, post-war sports car class with a 250 GTO and a Lusso, you know, running around. It's just, that was mind-blowing.
But I love that the Trans Am cars, all American Trans Am cars, are still one of the greatest categories of racing of all time, I think.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You know, there's that yellow Cougar. It was incredible.
Our buddy Randy Popes ran today. Did well in the BMW M1. We also saw, I guess, Jim Farley, head of Ford marketing. We think he won his class, which is
Cobra,
insane.
Cool.
I mean, it's this. I think that event more than anything separates like the real car guys. I mean, the really rich car guys from the merely rich, you know.
Well, and it's, you know, a lot of people say, oh, you know, they're not really racing, but you watch the last 2 laps, and I mean, they're racing.
Well, that struck me when I first came here, having come from the UK, and you go to the Goodwood Revival, and there are guys in priceless 250F Maserati Grand Prix cars from the 1950s banging wheels with each other going into the first turn. None of that here. I remember Sterling Moss got shown a red flag, I think, for getting a little too aggressive some years back. But I must say, last couple of years, the guys are getting a bit more willing. There were some interesting braking duels into that tight corner onto the main straight, and interesting to see some of the little cars going in, ducking in, and getting pretty close to you know, $30 million Ferraris.
Turns, you know, 3, 4, and 5 is great passing action. It's cool. You just walk up and stand there and watch it. It's just,
What's interesting is I did talk to Randy after he qualified about like what it's like to be out there driving, and yeah, again, he's a professional race car driver. He had this opportunity to drive the BMW M1, but it wasn't set up for him, and he said it wasn't really set up to run like this. So they were, you know, they've been kind of metering out, giving him more revs, like saying, okay, this time you can go 500 RPM higher, but please shift here. Very, very valuable car. They want him to obviously treat it with respect and not blow it up on the track. And then there's guys like Farley, who I know has been out here several times to test and get the car, his own car set up. But it's just phenomenal how serious people take this.
Yeah. But in, you know, some of those cars, you don't have to spend $1 million on some of those cars to go racing. It's like the Mustangs. They're not going to cost you a fortune to run, are they? They're pretty reliable. You can go out and have a bit of fun.
Absolutely. I think Mustangs are, you know, a wonderful car to just rip around on track days and anytime, you know, out here, wherever. I mean, those are great cars to run.
Well, you know, this is the classic old Detroit bulletproof reliability. When you're racing, you don't want something that's expensive to
and bang for your buck. Like there was a, you know, cool C2 Corvette was leading all the, you know, $38 million Ferraris.
Right.
You know.
And speaking of racing, I was talking with McLaren today about their P1 GTR. They're going to make.
You saw it, right?
Yeah, I saw it last night. Talked to them today about it. It's your classic kind of customer program where it'll be a soup to nuts thing. They're going to do a you know, driver training. You know, they'll take them to the track for them, There's going to be about 20-some cars, or 2.5 million, roughly 1,000 horsepower. So, you know, these are the kind of cars that you'll probably see, you know, more of in
Did it look? I mean, I've seen pictures, but I mean, did it look cool
I mean,
in
it's
person?
you know, it's astonishing. The rear wing, the whole rear valance, everything is just amazing. So,
just shifting gears slightly. So we were all at the Quail yesterday, which is, you know, a little jewel of an event. You know, there were some fabulous cars there, and we got a few packages on film, some highlights there. So Johnny, I think you're up first with some of the cars that you like. Let's go to tape and see what you found.
Oh, really? That's funny. You think in terms of sort of work?
There's a lot of cool cars in the world. Arguably, none cooler than Steve McQueen's Jaguar XKS, one of 16 ever made. Considered by many people to be one of the most beautiful cars of all times, and considered by me to be, well, let's just call it the most beautiful for right now. An absolutely exquisite car, and this is part of the Peterson Automotive Collection. To the uninitiated, this is just an old, beat-up 1948 Buick Special with some pretty interesting-looking patina. But if you know Icon, you know that this is the latest derelict. And under this hood, which, by the way, is hinged like a grand piano, you have a supercharged dry-sump 6.2-liter Chevy LSA motor, just like the Camaro Z01, and that means it makes 580 horsepower, 553 pound-feet of torque. I cannot wait to drive this car. So one of the big topics of conversation during Car Week is, you know, what's going to be on the lawn in 50 years? Well, it's not enough just to have a Phantom drop-head coupe. You got to have one of the collection series, and this is the brand new Water Speed, and it's just absolutely magnificent because of the detailing. It's the first time they have stainless steel going all the way around the car, super formed, and then you have little just killer details like this hidden little bird design here. It's absolutely exquisite, and it's cars like this that are going to be the hot thing in another generation.
I think cars like these special limited edition cars are going to be collector cars on the lawn here at Pebble Beach.
Yeah, absolutely. Because what do we? The things that are going high value at auction, the things that have interesting histories on the lawn, they have a story behind them. They have a name, Mormon Meteor, something like that. And so that's why Rolls is spending so much time. Every, I think, 3 months they put out 40 collection series cars, all based on some part of their history or some part of British motoring history. And it's great, and the hidden little details they actually spend time on, instead of just saying, like, paint my family crest or something like that. Like, it's actually, like, really well done.
What's well done was your pants.
Yeah.
But
well, I hope your pants are.
I think they're coming. But yeah, you're right. Your segment does answer the question we had at the last show, which is, what will be on the lawn here in 50, 70 years. I'm always kind of looking around. It's easy in this environment to see really, really special cars, but what is it that next level kind of touch? And I think definitely in the details.
And also just back to the Quail. What's so cool about it? It's so well curated.
Yeah.
It's not just like, bring all, cars. It's just, someone very consciously picks everything out, and you get that wide range of, Steve McQueen's Jag to, the derelict to what we're going to see next. But I mean, like,
David
really
Lee's collection of Ferraris. Did you see in the back corner? He had a 288. It's insane.
Well, and also at the Quail yesterday, they had all 6 of the Bugatti Veyron Legend.
Seven. It was 7, yeah.
Which will probably be the only time those cars will ever be together at once, because they're all gone off to their separate owners now, and unless the owners get together, they'll never be seen together again.
The guys on our Instagram feed, they were arguing about how much money those 7 Veyrons consisted of.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, Ed, you went and had a look around. You had a slightly different take to Johnny. Let's see the cars that caught Ed's attention at the Quail.
So one of the most interesting things for me here at the Quail is that you can see vintage and modern hypercars. And it's like you can almost see the evolution. It's incredible. Behind me is a 2014 McLaren P1 and a 2015 Porsche 918 Spyder. But there's 2 F50s over there. There's Enzo. There's a Ford GT in Gulf livery. And there's also a Maserati MC12. I mean, these are cars you don't see anywhere in this kind of collection. It's absolutely amazing.
You're definitely on a supercar kick there.
Yeah, you know, it's Johnny likes to joke that I didn't like old cars. It's not true, but I did. You know, seeing them all just sitting there, especially for me, that Maserati MC12, and it, you know, I tried to make reference. I totally forgot there was a Lamborghini right next to it. Lamborghinis are so they're so common. I mean, I remember driving into the Quail, and it was Porsche, Ferrari. I was telling somebody, I think every 458 in the country was in the parking lot on the golf course on the Quail.
Did you see that? Yeah, it was all Ferraris, then like Lamborghinis. There was a full carbon fiber Veyron in the parking lot.
Yep, 4 FFs I saw. I mean, this is bananas. And you get inside, and this stuff's even better.
But it's not all mega price cars. You know, it's not all.
No, they had Myers-Manx dune buggies.
Yes,
you know,
really cool.
I love the green one with the very 70s, 60s paisley type roof pattern and seat pattern. I mean, it was like having a flashback.
And they had that really cool, it was called Old Rusty, or Rusty One or something. It was a 1917 La France pickup truck that the guy turned into like a, you know, rat rod almost. And, you know, he said he found it, you know, behind somebody's barn or something.
How about that? What was it called? The Bastioni?
La Bastioni. So, you know,
it's not necessarily what price tag the cars have. And, you know, some people are saying this is kind of an elitist show. It's not really about the price tag. It's about the story that the cars tell. I mean, some of the coolest ones here are the, you know, Volkswagen microbuses with.
This morning at Laguna Seca, there's a 917 in Gulf livery that the guy who owns it was offered $25 million for this morning, and he said no. There's a 918 and a 919 hybrid, and a Volkswagen Type 2 Combi transporter. And I'm sitting there taking pictures of the Volkswagen.
Very cool.
Of course.
Well, Mike, you had another take at the Quail. There's some favourite cars. Let's take a look and see what caught Mike Floyd's attention at the Quail.
This is the Lamborghini Huracan Super Trofeo LP 620. 620 is for 620 horsepower. This car is making its world debut here at the Quail, and it kind of underscores you know, the different things that are happening here at the Quail. It's more than just a judging thing. It's all world debuts and things of that nature. And some of the race car drivers of single make series are seeing this car for the first time as well. So it's a true world debut. And the car, in my mind, is amazing, looks dynamite. It's one of these things that Lamborghini loves to do, and I think it's a magical looking race car. So at the Quail, one of the things that's great about this event is like the sheer diversity of cars here. You might think that, you know, it's the hoi polloi, like, you know, amazing cars or this and that, but then you get to see cars like this, the 1967 Shelby Gt500. This one has a 427 in it with a 4-speed manual. In some ways, kind of the pinnacle of Shelby cars. It's an amazing looking machine. I love the red and the white stripes. You know, and it just kind of signifies Mustangs really at their peak in the late 60s. It's you know, one of the most sought after Mustangs you could buy, and so it makes sense to be here on the lawn at the Quail.
Well, Mike, yeah, a bit of old and new there, old school Detroit and new school Italian Exotica.
Yeah, I'm a Detroit boy, and I love muscle cars, and I grew up with Mustangs and you know, Camaros, and you know, we'd have fist fights over them. So you know, that Shelby just really was amazing. It's a side oiler engine, which is a pretty rare thing, and they didn't really restore. You could see the little bulge in the hood there, so it kind of retained some of its original character. And then, you know, the Lamborghini Super Trofeo is, you know, just another kind of rich boy toy type series. And again, more of kind of what we're talking about here. You know, people really, you know, enjoying cars and racing them and doing all kinds of great things with them.
I wish we had more time because there are some fabulous cars there. Just behind the McQueen XKSS was the 1947 Cisitalia, and
yeah, the 202. Yeah.
The first car and only car ever displayed in the Museum of Modern Art in New York, 1951. Joining us on the panel, I'd like to say welcome to Dan Neal, Wall Street Journal columnist and all-round car aficionado.
Gentlemen.
Salute.
Lovely to see you.
Good to see you,
Great
Dan.
to another join at the appointed place, the appointed hour, Pebble Beach.
I'm drinking.
So Dan, so what makes this Monterey Car Week Why do you put it on the car guy's bucket list?
You cannot miss it. For one thing, it's a postgraduate education in automobiles that takes place in 3 days that is invaluable. When it's one thing to read about them in a book and maybe see them one at a time, but when you see them all together and you can sort of compare their methods of construction, you know, similar cars, similar times, addressing the same engineering problems in radically different ways. I don't think, and it's true with a lot of car shows, but Pebble Beach is, as you can see from the windows, really special, and it's a great place.
So, you know, you've been coming here for quite a few years now. Is it sort of like the same old, or are you surprised by something every year you come here?
Well, I have seen some things that were pretty crazy today. I saw a Morgan three-wheeler with a tiger mouth painted on it in the handicapped parking. Did you see that? That was amazing.
I saw the picture on your Facebook.
That was pretty cool. I was like, I want to meet that person, whoever that might be. And so, I mean, the intimacy that people have with their automobiles is one thing you can't, you know, you just admire anew. The people who are so thoroughly invested in their, oh, I don't know, let's say their 95 Corvette, you know, and which is fine. Let's not judge, baby, you know. And I saw a guy, he had it, it's like, I think it might have, it was a classic car. And it had, can I narrow it down? And it had on metallic script in the back, take pride in your ride. And I thought it was just a great, you know, I mean, usually you see that, you know, in some Caprices and things.
We were talking, the other episode, we were talking about how what's so cool about the lawn in particular is that, you know, and you're saying it's an education, like suddenly there's a new make, like, you know, Ruxton.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've maybe read it once in a book, but there's going to be the 10 best Ruxtons of all time are going to be there, and you get to learn about them.
That's tomorrow's post. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, or the Hupmobile. You must see the blue Hupmobile.
Right.
Well, speaking of the lawn and the big event tomorrow, of course, the Pebble Beach Concours d'Elegance, and I believe you're judging again. How many years have you been a judge?
I've been honorary celebrity judge, which means it's.
Well, how did that happen?
Well, good sense broke out somewhere. I mean, you know, I do not want to give me a vote that counts. For one thing, I vote with my heart and not my head. So I have gone terribly astray, as Mr. Lieberman will tell you. I've lost a couple of bets.
It's true, because I was going to say, how many best of show winners have you accurately picked?
I defer to you. You know what though? Here's what it's going to be. Well, I say that the De Villers Coupe one, it was white. I thought, oh, the white cars never ever won. This is last year. And sure enough, white car won. And so I think it's going to be long, black, expensive, that sort of thing.
But how intimidating was it, even as a celebrity judge? How intimidating was it to go out there on the lawn for the first time?
Are you kidding me? It was a joy. It was absolute. First of all, you get to wear the really cool name tag and walk around with a clipboard with Sterling Moss. And say, so Sterling, what do you think about this? And you know, of course, you're not worthy to kiss this guy's boots. And you're conferring with him on the value of some car that you can't possibly afford and you've never seen before. And so I try not to let the responsibility go to my head.
Did you prep for it? I mean, it was her.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I did a ton of homework, and it was for nothing. You know, I have to tell you, I don't know how much time we have. If I can remember this, I voted for a. It'll come back to me. It's very soon. But it was the pimpiest car ever, and it didn't win.
Oh, so it wasn't the Swan car, was it? It wasn't the.
No, the Swan car was good.
Oh, it wasn't purple with yellow ostrich leather interior.
No. But I will vote for the Facel Vega that comes my way.
Well, the other big part, of course, of this event, and I think we've got some film coming up, are the auctions. A lot of auctions going up, and we've got a bit of a preview of what we can expect. Well, some pretty cool cars there, and you know, there's been a bit of expectation, some of it a bit overhyped. There was talk of a $50–60 million Ferrari Gto. It didn't make that. 38 million, I believe it made.
Yeah. Just 38 million.
Yeah, we were talking with McKeel Haggerty of the Haggerty Insurance Group, and he was totally eye-rolling the fact that people were poo-pooing 38.1 million. They're like, people got to get their heads checked.
Right. Still the most expensive GTO to ever go at auction.
Yep. Yep.
Is it the most expensive ever to sell at
ever,
auction?
ever at auction.
Sell at auction.
And at
Yeah,
auction.
there was a $52 million car, and then the
Hang on, what was that?
So
But that was a
GTO.
private sale.
Yeah, private sales.
Oh, 52 for the. Oh, what about
Yeah.
the Bugatti Veyron or Bugatti
the
Atlantique?
Type 57 SC Atlantic Coupe that Peter Mullen
40.
finally
That was 40.
admitted to buying. Yeah, it was 40. Yeah.
Fine.
So on the film there, we saw that the white car, the Treposti, which is a one-of-a-kind prototype Ferrari, three-seater, had the central driving position decades before Gordon Murray copied it for the McLaren.
Mid-engine Ferrari road car.
Yeah. There's been some big talk on numbers as to what this car is going to bring. Some suggesting it might crack $100 million. I think it's a bit ambitious, but really, you know.
Who said $100 million?
Well, that was when
That's crazy talk.
Well, the Nart Spider. So Nart Spider, which is a Luigi Cinetti car, went for $27 million last year at Gooding. Sunday night, everyone's been drinking.
Only a quarter of your song.
Right, but there's 10 of those, and they're not that
this
interesting.
theory
Okay.
about that. Okay, sorry.
Okay, the hype notwithstanding, but you know, our rare Ferraris a better investment than a Rembrandt?
Sure.
Current.
Well, the 100 million will happen in our lifetime, but it's not going to be this year. I don't think it'll be.
It could be that car.
I'm waiting for the next real estate bubble.
So we have a bet. We have a $100 gentleman's bet, and it's pretty obnoxious to say it out loud, but he's saying
It really is.
it really is. He's saying the Treposti goes for less than 30 million, and I'm saying it goes for over 30 million.
Ooh.
I challenged him on the field of honor and slapped him with a glove. 30 million, sir, and not a penny more.
Exactly.
No, listen.
The champagne flutes at 20 paces.
I don't think. I mean, I wish I'd said 40, but having said that, a little late. I think it could. I think it could do all right, but I do believe that I'm beginning to see the top of the hill of Ferrari prices.
Really?
Yeah.
For now, and Dan, thanks very much for joining us. It'll be interesting to see who wins the bet. We'll be collecting Sunday night, hopefully, and I'll make sure that you know who won. Another great event for Italian car lovers here is the Concorso Italiano, and MotorTrend's Frank Marcus was there earlier today, and let's check out a few of the cars he found.
I'm here at the Concorso Italiano, where we're celebrating 100 years of Maserati. Naturally, as a Ghibli owner, I'm drawn to this big line of Ghiblis, and my favorite in the lineup is this very early 67 that is painted the same color mine was when it left the factory. The original owner of my car had it painted red immediately, so it's always been red in real life, and I have never seen a light blue one before, and I think it makes the lines of the car really look nice, and if mine ever needs a repaint, I think I might have to go for this. One of my favorite things about the Concorso Italiano is it's a chance to see lines of really fabulous cars. A whole bunch of Ferrari Dinos, a whole bunch of Ferrari Testarosas, Di Tommaso Mangustas lined up. But I'm always drawn to the more rare cars. So my pick of the show is this 1961 Ghia L6.4. They only made about 26 of them. There's supposed to be like 17 of them left. This is certainly the only one here. It's gorgeous with a black and white interior. These are the kind of cars that the Rat Pack drove back in the day. So I can just imagine, you know, Dean Martin hopping out of one of these babies going to a gig. That's why this is my pick of the show.
Well, Frank, picking a Ghibli, I mean, that's...
Yeah, I got to say, so you know, Maserati is a featured marquee for this event, and there's been Ghiblis everywhere. They really are gorgeous. I mean, the '67 Ghibli with the small bumpers and everything. I mean,
It's such a bummer though that Concorso takes place at the same time as the big day at Rolex. Because it's one of these things where you kind of have to choose, like choose between children.
they moved it. Remember, because last year it was the same day as a Quail.
Right.
And
Well,
you
you
kind
can't
of
win.
do it. Yeah, you can't win.
So
Yeah, but did you see that? I loved that wide
Wide
shot
shot.
where there was a sea of red and yellow cars. I mean, Concorso Italiano really does live up to the name. It's all Italian cars all the time. And it was great to see the dual gear there too. The Italian-bodied American cars, the Chryslers of the
Hemis.
Yeah, those cars of the 50s, and they were fabulous.
Yeah, this gentleman I know bought a dual gear, and Frank said it's the Rat Pack car, and I was bugging him, and I was like, "Is that Dean Martin's? Is that Dean Martin's?" And finally, after a few cocktails, he goes, "It's Dean Martin's car." Wow! So it's cool. It's cool.
But also Concorso that you'll see, and we didn't see it there. Cars close to my heart. The little Alfa Romeo GTVs, Type 105s. One day I might have mine restored enough to put on the lawn there. That's something you can aim for, and it's not hugely expensive car. There's something magical about those Italian cars of the 50s and 60s. They're small, but they're so charismatic that you can get involved with them for not a lot of money and have quite a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's what Alfa is trying to bring back a little bit with their new 4C, that kind of philosophy.
Yeah, it's interesting. If you go back to, benefit of hindsight's a wonderful thing, but Alfa Romeo was the BMW of the early 1960s in terms of, they were kind of aspirational but affordable, and they were sporty cars. You could get the Giulia sedans, you could get the sports cars. But I think Frank had a special car at Concorso that he wanted to share with us, so let's see what he came up with.
I know you guys in the panel there didn't get a chance to come to all the venues, so I wanted to make sure you see my favorite thing at Concorso Italiano, a car that dares to be different, throws out all convention, doesn't look like anything else on the road, the Uabian Puma. Yes, it is about a two-story convertible SUV, bus, go anywhere, off-road vehicle. Just look at those tires. It weighs about 9,000 pounds, crushes any kind of road imperfection. This is the car of the show.
Okay.
Quite a sense of humor.
You can't really top that, can you? Nope. You can't really top that. The car, there's a fertile world of imagination out there in the automotive industry.
We need to be careful what we say because apparently the owner
He'll sue you
sues everybody.
about that
slag
car,
on
so.
that car.
That car was at the LA Auto Show. It's amazing.
That's all you can say about it.
Unbelievable. Let's just say it's unbelievable.
Nice blue, nice blue. I'd like to welcome to our panel Michael Bartsch, CEO of Infiniti of the Americas. Michael, welcome.
Thank you.
Why is Infiniti at Monterey Car Week?
Don't sound surprised, Angus. We belong here. I'm going to start with a long answer on that. I grew up in New Guinea, and there was a thing called a sing-sing, and all the tribes would come down the mountains.
Yep.
And they would congregate, and they'd show their culture and their feathers. Well, this has got to be the ultimate sing-sing for the automotive industry. All the tribes are here. Everybody that has a passion or interest in brand, automotive, engineering, design, performance, they're here. No better place to showcase the Infiniti and where we want to take the brand.
But it's also, if you've got an ounce of gasoline in your veins, you kind of have to be here.
Absolutely. I mean, the really good thing about it is I get paid to come, Angus. I don't have to, I'm paid to come and do this, best job in the world. But seriously, I mean, this is somewhere I think that if you want to be taken seriously as a prestige brand or as a performance brand, you have the ultimate audience here to present your credentials, to get awareness for the brand, build your overall opinion. No better place. There are a few opportunities in the world. You have this. You have. You spoke about Goodwood.
Yep.
Amelia Island, Mille Miglia, those sorts of things. This is one of those events you just have to be at.
So are these events, these experiential events, are they becoming an alternative to the traditional auto show where everyone goes into a hall and looks at static vehicles?
I don't think it's alternative. I think you have a very different audience here. I think both still have their place. I think what's interesting is that the number of motor shows in the world are declining. They're consolidating. And these events where you have very much a lifestyle, a very integrated approach. I mean, what makes this so spectacular is just not the cars, it's also the setting. So you give the cars context, you give history context. I'm staying down at the inn on Spanish Bay there, you guys were commenting a little while ago about just the car parks.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, what better way to represent your brands or your passions or something than to present cars in this sort of environment? Sure. So I don't think it'll ever replace motor shows, but I think these will increasingly carve out a larger niche of the marketing budgets and the entertainment budgets of people. I think it'll grow.
Well, if you go to the Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca, where the historics are on today, you can see 30 million GTOs racing. You can see Trans Am cars. You can see Can Am cars. All cars that for most of us have only ever seen in magazines. They come to life. They're real. They're making noise, and they look different when they're moving.
Absolutely. Look, I have a confession to make, Angus. I cancelled 3 press interviews today. I avoided 3 journalists today in order that I could get out to, so that I could get out to Laguna Seca and walk up and down the pits there and watch some of those cars racing. And I mean, we're indebted to the people that roll those cars out. I mean, a lot of those cars belong in museums. I mean, they belong in bank vaults.
Yep.
But they're out there running those things around the track, getting the rubber on them kicked up. They're getting stone chipped. The oil's leaking. They're risking multi-million-dollar assets. But it's all about the passion, the fun. I mean, it's a living museum out there. It's fantastic.
So Infiniti doesn't have quite the heritage to necessarily be out there, but you could maybe do a hot lap with something like this, don't you think? Has that ever crossed your mind?
Formula One.
They used to run there.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the things. We're about building our legacy now. We're building the future, in 50 years' time we'll look back and we'll talk about cars like the Eau Rouge, and we'll talk about the Red Bull F1 cars. But look, eventually we'll get these out, but these are maybe a little bit too contemporary at the moment, a little bit too much money tied up in technology, but we'll get there.
Speaking of building the future and the Eau Rouge here, we've all had a close look at the car. It seems like a no-brainer. Are you going to build it?
I always have to put a smile on my face with that one and just say, look, everybody in the organisation wants to build it. There's 110% endorsement to build it. I've got 4 orders in my hand, serious orders. I spoke to Shiro this morning, our chief of design. Everybody wants to do it, but as you know, we had just recently our CEO and president, Johan Denetian, moved on. And I think until we have the new president, the new CEO, then that's a decision that'll be held in abeyance until that person takes over.
But it's a car that clearly is starting to generate a lot of comment. Every time it's appeared on our YouTube channel, it gets positive commentary.
We drove it really hard out in England, and seemed like a pretty well sorted car, all things considered.
Look, we haven't built it for our own entertainment. It has a real purpose. First of all, it's an expression of what the future. We talk about provocation. We talk about inspired performance. It's very much a showcase of the future direction of the Infiniti design language, the DNA. It's a showcase of what we mean by taking on the top 3 German marques in the luxury segment. It's a design alternative to the very German look that is dominating the market at the moment. It's a performance car, and it's also, even more importantly, Mr. Gorn has made it very clear that an important part of the overall formula for success is to have a performance division in Infiniti, and this is a little bit of a lighthouse of the direction that we're moving in.
It's a showcase of seating design too. I love those racing seats you have up front. They're supportive yet really thin. I mean, these are amazing. You have to go sit in it. Check it out.
Yeah, look, it's it's one of those things where anybody, as you said, who has a little bit of petrol running through the veins, it's a must.
Yeah. The other thing that Mr. Gowen's been very forceful on is electricity and electric mobility. Do you see that as a future for Infiniti as well?
Yeah, look, it's an inevitability. With the way the CAFE rules, CAFE standards are moving and so on, it's inevitability. It's a little bit down the track for us. We're focusing first on hybrids. But we're supported by a very big organisation, the Nissan Group, which is investing billions in the development of electric vehicles and autonomous drive technology. We'll certainly get the benefits of those investments. But right now we're establishing the brand with the conventional internal combustion engines and with hybrid technology, but it will come.
I mean, Johan did outline a fairly clear direction for Infiniti as a performance luxury brand. It seems like that's been set now. There's the basic direction is there.
Absolutely. Look, there are three architects for Infiniti. There was Johan, certainly, behind the strategy that we're all very familiar with. But that strategy was very much endorsed and championed by Carlos Ghosn and by Andy Palmer. It's a strategy and a vision and a mission that's not owned by one person. It's owned by the group as a whole. Johan's left a fantastic legacy for us to work with. It's up to us not to drop the ball. We keep moving, and that intent, that commitment has been made very clear by Mr. Ghosn as recently as 3 weeks ago to a dealer group that was over in Japan. So it's set. We know exactly where we have to go and what to do.
So let's get you away from the business for a bit. So what are you looking forward to the rest of today and tomorrow?
Look,
you're going to be skipping more interviews?
Yeah, look,
you should.
I'll be skipping as many interviews as I possibly can. Look, Angus, I'm fourth generation cars. My father, my grandfather, my great-grandfather. I mean, there is no greater place to be. And I have to say this to be politically correct. The only way this could be better is if my wife was with me. That's the only way it gets better. So I have to say that in order to, get home and still be married, in case she's watching this. But like everybody else here, I'll be just walking around the paddocks and looking at all the marques, the fantastic cars that have, the reason why we all fall in love with this industry and why we all love cars. I mean, you don't get it any better than here.
Well, I think we'd all agree with that. We've been celebrating over the last couple of days. The big event tomorrow, the Concours d'Elegance. Will you be out in dawn patrol?
Yeah, I'll be out there, and I'll be making my choice and standing there getting bitterly disappointed if everybody doesn't agree with me, but I won't be saying anything.
We should probably have another quiet betters to pick best in.
I have a good recent history. I've picked 2 out of the last 3. So.
Have you?
Yeah.
So the long-term future for Infiniti, you're obviously very comfortable with it. The direction looks pretty sound. We hope we can see more cars like the Eau Rouge come with that spirit coming in the future. And Johan did hint at some interesting evolutions of cars like the next generation coupe around the Q50 architecture and the replacement for the FX. So there seems like there's a lot of momentum building up there.
Look, it's always difficult to talk about what's in the pipeline, but again, Angus, underlining just recently, our dealer group saw the product plans, what's in the pipeline. In the next 5 years, our overall product offerings will increase by 60%. Next 5 years, we're going to double the number of engines and transmissions available. We're going to be expanding the number of sedans and coupes, a number of SUVs and crossovers. It's locked in, and this industry is not a short-term business. Between making the decision to do something and getting into the showroom usually takes about 5 years. We're going to hit our straps at the end of 2015, and you're going to see that expansion of model line very quickly after that.
Yeah, I guess that's hard for people outside the car industry, is to understand 2 things. One, the huge capital investments required just to make even small changes. We all look at this car and say, why don't you build it? But there's several $100 million worth of investment involved in that. And then the lead time and lag time. A decision you make today is, in terms of a car, is 3 years away from being a reality.
Yeah. I mean, we've bred a generation of people who want instant gratification. It's our fault, our children want it now, and they're not as patient as we are, Angus.
It's funny, like Andy Palmer, I wrote something about, now that Johan has resigned, the future of the Eau Rouge is in doubt, and he, on my Facebook page said, it's funny you say that because, we hired Johan in 2012, but I've been pushing this car since 2010. So it is a 5-year gestation.
Look, make no bones about it. There are some real champions for what we're doing in Andy Palmer and Carlos Ghosn. Johan's left an amazing legacy for us to work with, but it's bigger than one person. And as I said, the vision and the mission is very clearly mapped out. and we're sticking to it.
Terrific. Well, thank you very much for taking time out and not doing interviews to come onto our program.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Thank you, Michael.
Thanks very much.
Thanks for supporting us. Yeah, this is great.
Yeah, thank you for supporting us too. You know, Monterey Car Week, powered by Infiniti. You know, we think it's been a great success on the channel, and we think the pavilion here has come out really, really well. So thank you for all your support.
Pleasure. Thank you.
And I'd like to thank you all too for watching Wide Open Throttle live from the Infiniti Performance Pavilion. Make sure you check out our entire week of classic car programming on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/MotorTrend, and of course MotorTrend.com and Automobile.com for in-depth coverage of all the events taking place this week. Until next time, thanks very much, and we'll see you down the road.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys.